everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have my hands on the new Tom Ford palettes. I just got them from Beautylish and I am so excited to share them with you. This is the Meteoric palette and this is the one that I was the most excited about. I'm going to be honest. This is beautiful. I'm actually wearing this one right now in the intro. And of course, these retail for $88. This one actually has 10 grams worth of product. I've been hearing that some of the other pans only have 9. This actually does have 10. And then I also have the Visionaire, and this is really, really pretty as well. And this one is also 10 grams. We're gonna be playing with these and I'm very excited. So here's the thing. I don't have a lot of Tom Ford in my collection. In fact, I now only have 3 Tom Ford palettes. Okay, I'm growing into them. I recently reviewed this big palette. This one is the Red Harness. I just recently reviewed this one. And I also have this one. This one's from last year, I think last summer. This is the Soleil and Noon or something. I have no idea. I'll put it up here on the screen because I have no idea. Michelle Wong says it so beautifully. I can't say it. So this is this one. This is one of my favorites because I love this mint shade. It just brings me so much joy to play with this palette. I love this shade. It's pretty spectacular. Recently, I created a look on my Instagram with this palette. If you guys haven't checked that out, this right up here is my Instagram page, and I will also link it in the description box down below in case you want to see a tutorial using this palette. And I have the Body Heat, and this one, you know, is an oldie but a goodie, and I just, these colors just really speak to me. So with all of that said, I don't really have a lot to compare as far as the shades next to a lot of Tom Ford, but Mel Thompson, she reviewed these 2 months ago. She got early access to these and she compared them to several of her palettes that she has from Tom Ford. So if you have a lot of Tom Ford palettes, I will leave a link to her video in the description box down below so you guys can see. There was one of like, this was kind of dupable, very dupable in her collection. This is the Visionaire. So I will leave a link to her video in the description box down below so you can find out exactly which palettes this one is very similar to, because I think there was 2 of them. So that's what we're doing in today's video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the tutorials, and then we will get into the swatches, and then I will get into my final thoughts at the end. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so let's start with the first tutorial. I am so excited to play with this one. The Meteoric is probably the one that I'm drawn to the most out of the 2, just because I live for a beautiful lilac purple. I don't wear them a lot, but I love those shades. I'm very drawn to those shades, and this is just a really beautiful palette. Before I start putting my fingers all up in it, I wanted you guys to see it. It's just beautiful. We're gonna go into this shade first. Okay, and I'm just gonna softly start building this in the crease. And I want that shade to be prominent up here, you know, closer to the brow bone. So I'm gonna kind of go up high with it and really build it. Now, it's not like super, super pigmented because it's such a soft pink shade. So it's probably one that you're gonna have to build a couple of times to really get a nice application and nice pigment, but the shade is so pretty, and because it's such a soft pink, that makes sense why you would have to go in quite a few times to build it. Okay, so now I've went in probably about 4 to 5 times, and now you can see I'm really starting to get some depth. Now, if you have a lighter skin tone than I do, it's not going to take you that many times, you know, but if you have a darker skin tone than I do, you're going to have to go into that shade a few times to really get that pigment. Okay, now we're going to go into this shade right here. This is the Satin Matte shade, and I'm going to focus that right here on a lot of this outer corner. It's a satin matte, so it blends like a matte, but it has a satin sheen finish to it. Okay, I'm gonna go in with more of a dense packed brush. This is the Refer number 2, and I'm gonna place this on the outer corner and just really pack that shadow on. And I'm going to go into the matte shade and use the matte to just kind of blend that shade out, just so that it doesn't have any harsh lines or edges or anything like that. This is a beautiful color combination. It's just so pretty. I'm going to go in with a little bit of the matte and bring that down here on the lower lash line. That shade is really pretty. I don't think I have a pink like that. I don't think I have a color of that pink in my collection. It's like a dusty mauve, but it's a light mauve. It's really, really, really pretty. I'm gonna take this small brush from the Dose of Colors 5-pen palettes, and I'm gonna go into the satin matte, and I'm just gonna carve this crease right here and just try to add a little bit more definition, just a little bit more. Yeah, like that. Oh, that's so pretty. Tom Ford shadows, man, they are beautiful. Now I'm going to take a brush like this. This is actually the Sigma Flat Definer E15 brush. I'm going to go into the satin matte, the darker, and I am going to slowly build this in the lower lash line, just right on the lash line, and kind of buff it in. Now I'm going to take that Dose of Colors brush and I'm going to go into the matte shade, and I'm going to use that to kind of blend everything in. Now I want to go into the top shades, and I think I'm going to start with this shade, and I'm going to put that shade on the outer corner. I'm going to start with a brush. I'm not sure. I'm sure a finger would probably be the best way to apply these, but oh, damn, that's pretty. I want to see how it applies with a brush. So I've just got it here on my brush. This is the Sonia G Worker 2. I haven't wet it down. I'm just gonna like press it on top. Oh yeah. It doesn't look like much picked up on the brush, but it's there. Okay, now I'm gonna take my finger and kind of go right at the line, like right there where it connects to that dark, right towards the middle. So I'm going to put some here on the brush, and I'm going to spray it, just lightly dampen it. Oh yeah, look at that. That is so pretty. I'm going to pick up a little bit more with those damp bristles, and gosh dang, that's pretty, right? Oh my gosh. These have more of a sheer base to them. So I am going to take the dusty mauve color, the matte color, and I'm going to put this on my lid right here, just so that there's something underneath when I go into that light. Now we're gonna go in with this one right here. I'm gonna spray it just a little bit. I just don't want a bunch of fallout, and I don't know if it's gonna give me a bunch of fallout. Okay, I think these are just better applied with a finger if you do them right. Yeah, if you apply these right, like if you can get the technique down to apply them right, they are beautiful. And it gives this wet lid look, but it's hard to use a finger on shades like this because you want to get into that inner corner, and you just like with nails. I mean, if you don't have nails, then go ham in. You can do what you want, but you know, when you have nails, it's just a little bit tougher to do it. Maybe I should use this brush. This is the Flat Definer brush from Sonia G. Let's see. This is a great brush for stuff like this. So let's see. Oh yes, look at that. I'm going to tip my head, and I'm going to place that right there. Kind of, yeah, right there. And then I'm going to sweep whatever's left out to the crease. Then I'm going to go into the matte shade and go right over top of it just to define things. Like I always like going, before I finish an eye look, a lot of the times I like to go into the transitional matte shade just to really bring everything together, especially if you put shimmer in the crease. If you're going to put shimmer in your crease, I highly recommend going into your transition shade and going over top of it before you've completely finished the eyeshadow look. It will make the biggest difference, and it will just bring it to life. It's incredible how well it works. Okay, so this is the final look, and I went ahead and put on a pair of House of Lashes in the style Iconic Lights. They have been a favorite of mine for a really, really long time, and I just made a purchase, you guys. I love this palette, and I can see myself using it a lot. This lipstick matches it to a perfection. This has been one of my favorite lipsticks for a really long time. It's the Tom Ford Indian Rose. It's the prettiest color, and I've just always loved it, especially on my skin tone. I'm not big into like the pink undertone lipsticks, but there's something about this shade that I absolutely love. Well, we all know the Tom Ford lipsticks are kind of pricey, and I have a lot of lipsticks, you guys. So even though that's been a favorite of mine for a very long time, I have always talked myself out of buying it because I'm like, you've got enough. Like, you really don't need it. You don't need it. Until today. So I have a sample of it, and it comes with like 3 different samples, and I'm obsessed with this. I forget just how much I love this shade, and when I put it up next to my eye, I was like, it is a no-brainer. I need that lipstick. So I ordered it. It is what it is. The thing that I'm really loving about this eyeshadow look is the depth that I was able to create by this shadow. So even though it comes off very light and kind of cool toned and kind of like a dusty color, when you put it on the eye, it becomes like a rich, beautiful mauve that is absolutely stunning, especially if you mix it with this shade. This is one of my favorite Tom Ford palettes. Now, when I say that out loud, I don't have a lot of Tom Ford palettes, so PS, just FYI. But this is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love the way this eyeshadow look turned out, and it was so easy to create, and it's just very kind of soft and romantic. You can wear this to work. You can wear it on a regular daily basis. It's not too over the top, and it's really pretty. So next up, I'm going to be creating a look using the Visionaire palette. It's very pretty. I'm gonna see, you know, which one I like out of these 2. This one is gonna be tough to beat because I loved it. So let's go ahead and jump into that tutorial. Okay, so let's start playing with this palette today. This is the Visionaire, and I'm gonna go straight in with this shade, and I'm gonna put it all over my lid and all up blended into my crease. So this shade doesn't look like it has a lot of shimmer in the pan, but it does. And I'm just gonna bring that up into the crease. Just a light wash of it and kind of blend it all up. Ooh, it's so pretty. I have to tell you, when I wore the other palette, the Meteoric palette yesterday, last night, I didn't even want to wash my makeup off because it looked so beautiful all day long, and it just had such a beautiful shine, and it wore so beautifully. That was quick and easy. I'm also going to bring that on the lower lash line. I haven't put my concealer on yet. I decided to wait to put my concealer on just in case I get any fallout from that shimmer. I wanted to have just a clean under eye look today, and so I didn't want to have any shimmer under there, you know? I'm gonna go straight into the dark shade right here. I am basically going to shade this in to this outer corner. Now I'm gonna go into this shade right here, and I'm gonna bring that like right here where it fades into the pink. I'm gonna go back into the dark shade and just try to build up this outer corner. I'm gonna take a tiny bit of this shade right here. I'm gonna bring that on the inner corner just a little bit, just to deepen it up just a tad. Like, I didn't wanna have it go really dark, but I wanted it to have just a little bit more depth there on that inner corner. I'm gonna take my flat brush, and this is the flat definer from Sigma. I am going to smoke this into the outer corner, but keeping it on this outer corner. Like, I'm not even gonna bring this shade in. I'm just kind of smoking it in. Yeah, just to keep that depth here. Okay. So in my experience yesterday with the Meteoric palette, I feel like these are best applied with the finger. Bottom line, these are kind of like the Charlotte Tilbury formula, where if you want that really beautiful application, the best way is with a finger. Truly, it really is. So I'm gonna take my finger and I'm gonna go into that shade and just start building it right here on the lid. Kind of gives that like real soft shimmer look. Okay, so this is the final look, and I love the way that this eyeshadow look turned out. It didn't take me very long at all to do it, which I really appreciate. As far as the lashes, these are the House of Lashes in the style Iconic Light. And then on the lippy, I put on the Pat McGrath lip liner in Supernatural. And then I also paired it with my little sample of Indian Rose, so from Tom Ford, just like I did in the previous look. Okay, so that's it for tutorial on this palette. Let's go ahead and jump into the swatches, and I will see you guys all in my final thoughts. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into my final thoughts about both of these palettes. I love them both. I think they're both very, very beautiful. I would say, obviously, I mentioned it yesterday, this is definitely my favorite of the two palettes. This is the Meteoric palette. This is probably my favorite of the two. I just love the color story in here, and I also love when there's a matte shade in his palettes. I don't always love the full shimmer, every shade being a shimmer. I always like it when there's one shade that's a matte because it just allows you to add a little bit more depth. And the matte shade in this was so buildable and so beautiful that it just really warmed up the eye as I kept blending it in. Love, love, love this. I actually wanted to mention, because I forgot to mention this in my final thoughts, but my only complaint with this palette is that I wish the top two shades had a little bit of a variation. If you look at the swatches, those two top shimmer shades look so similar. I even mentioned it in my tutorial that if you had both of them on the eye, you really wouldn't be able to notice the difference between the two. So being that this is an $88 palette, I wish that they would have done something a little bit different and had a little bit more of a variation with those top two shimmers. You know, it's 4 shades for $88, so you really want every shade to count. And I just didn't feel like they were different enough. I still love this palette. It's still my favorite. It doesn't change my opinion on it. But being that it's $88, I wanted to kind of give you that feedback and, you know, let you fully decide if it's worth the money to you. So let's get back to the video. You know, I was doing a look with just the Visionaire, but I do think that this matte would be really pretty in the crease just to bring a little bit more depth with the pink shade that's in the Visionaire palette. But both of these palettes are great. No problems with the pigmentation, absolutely nothing. I mean, these are absolutely beautiful palettes. So if you guys have been wanting to pick one up, I personally love the Meteoric palette the most, but they're both beautiful, and I think it all depends on what color story you're looking for, but I don't think you're gonna have a problem with these. These are fantastic. So that's it for the review on these two palettes from Tom Ford. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Let us know down below if you guys have picked these up. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on them. I love you all so, so much, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.